Okay, looks like we are live. Well, hello everybody. Welcome to Behind the Scenes, making of our 2023 Christmas special. I always, like to just make sure the systems are working, everything's functioning and running before I start these events for the real thing. Oh, good. Looks like we have audio. Welcome to. So let me mute that. We don't need to hear my audio going, but that is good. That means my audio is working. So you'd be amazed, these silly little YouTube lives. Devil is in the detail. They take a ton of just the little nuances to put them all together. You'd think it would be something that just would kind of happen organically. Unfortunately, it does not. So there's a lot that kind of goes into these makings of these events. With it, I certainly want to make sure everything is going to look good and present well. So practice is key. So this is kind of one of my practice sessions. So what we're doing this year, and you get a chance to see it tomorrow for the actual live event, we're making a little Christmas tree ornament. So in doing so, obviously I designed it over there in NX. Actually, I used NX to post this part as well. Then I bring it over here, and I tend to run through a couple different iterations, right? I want to prototype it, make sure my design is good before I go into all the details. So that's kind of what I'm doing now. So I just fired up the machine. I do have to square up a little bit of material to show you how I prototyped it this time. We are going to talk about it tomorrow. I actually 3D printed it. This was kind of fun and pretty cool. I got a little Elegoo printer over there, so we'll talk about that a little bit tomorrow. But today, right now, I wanted to really check my feeds and make sure all my hardware seemed to work. So we have a lot of different cameras. Oh, here I can see I have one of the cameras off, so let's turn that on. Now the cameras certainly, I think, help give you guys, the audience, a pretty good perspective of what's going on. So I always like to have, at any given time, usually at least 3 cameras running. Really, we have 4. So we have our wide angle camera there. I have a close-up on the control itself. The only downfall with this is, when I run the machines, I normally like to tip the control towards me. I do not have that luxury doing these events because we want to have a straight shot to the camera. But that usually works pretty good. I could do a feed into the PC just from our back end, but then you wouldn't see the machine control panel, and I kind of like that. I kind of like giving the audience perspective of what buttons I'm hitting, kind of what I'm doing. For the Christmas event, I do like to always put up my decorations, and boy, I've been having a hard time with my little command strip tabs here. They keep falling off. I'll have to fix that before the event. Okay. So it looks like I got all my cameras running. That's a good sign. I just cut up a little bit more material. These are our blanks that we're going to be machining from. So with this part, I had to give a little bit of extra material. It is a square blank, approximately 5.3 inches square. I can really machine it with the material, with the protective film on or off. A lot of times I leave it off. But when I do cut it, I just saw cut it. And the one thing I like to have is just some good square edges that are repeatable. So I do have a few finished edges on the part, on the rough stock already. So what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to set them up in the vise and just clean up the saw cut areas. Just enough. The beauty with this process and this method that I'll be showing you tomorrow is that I don't really have to control the dimensions of my stock all that tight. Effectively, I just need to have it somewhat square, and you're going to see we're going to use the same datum surface. Now, one of the things that I find with the plastic, this is plexiglass, is it does vibrate quite a bit. So I like to put a couple chunks of aluminum, kind of stack the pack here, at least this way when I go to square it up, it's not going to vibrate on me so much. So that's a quick little trick. If you want to be able to square up multiple pieces of material at the same time, without it, they have a tendency to want to vibrate quite a bit. I'm going to use my face mill, and we're going to take a cut. So let's go grab it. There I am. I have my Kennametal cam face mill. Let's get that in the spindle, get my enables on. And now we'll clean up the top. So I'm just going to kind of drive all my commands through our TSM screen. I'm going to really do this manually. We'll fire up the spindle at 4K. Just want to have the shell mill kind of centered, which I'm not too bad now. I'm going to move her over a little bit. Let's see what kind of perspective. Looks like my camera angles are pretty decent. We are going to be using a little air for the part when we do cut it. All right, get a little closer. I'm not, bothered probing or finding the top. Again, I'm not too concerned about this. I want to just take enough of a cut to clean it off. All right, we'll go down a little bit more. See if this all cleans. Yeah, cool. The static is gonna, I think, drive that one camera crazy. That is always a challenge when doing these events, is how do you keep the cameras clear, right? Now, if I want to roughly keep them to size, I can do a little trick here. And I can keep my tool down on this same plane. Oh, I got still a couple little... Luckily, I'm not going to be... Oh, what was that? A little chunk of my bezel came off. That camera's still working? It is. I tell you, I use these Ion cameras for that that one top shot right here. I do it because they're reasonable. They have a decent image, and they're pretty durable. I mean, I'm amazed how much I've kind of beat on them over the years. Smacked one with a hammer not that long ago. Really kind of macked it. All right, that's pretty good. So we'll flip the stack. Now with this process, you really only need 2 good edges, especially if I was machining this out of aluminum. The edge that I'm putting up against my hard jaw, I want to have pretty clean, and then the one that I'll eventually put up against the stop. Other than that, I can get away with really just saw cut material. Okay, take another little cut here. My airline is in my way. Do a little hand wheel machining. Probably should have taken the cut from the other side. Would have kept some of the chips off that camera, but what can I say? It's the action shot. I see we got a couple viewers too. That's cool. All right, so we got some material. She's squared up. So what I want to do is I did do a little bit of tweaking on my program. So I am going to run one just to make sure everything looks good. Obviously, the big intention here on this event was to make sure my camera feeds and all look good. Give you guys a little bit of perspective. Figure I got to do all this stuff anyway. Might as well. Ooh, it's snowing. It's snowing. Well, it's Christmassy, so might as well have a little bit of snow. All right. So we got some material. Now I'm using step jaws. Just keeps me from having to use a set of parallels. I like step jaws. They seem to work pretty good. Okay. So we got some material cleaned up. I have a couple good edges. Now in this case, I already set my zero up when I was messing around with it yesterday. And my zero, I'm holding a G54 at the top right corner of this part. We'll set her in there. And then later we'll go do a secondary op and we'll come off to the opposing side. Maybe we'll... So my zero is all set from yesterday. I don't have to reset that. We will set the zero when we flip the part. I don't think you guys will hang long enough today for that, but we'll talk about that tomorrow. Be a little redundant. I still have the protective material on the bottom. Certainly, I don't need to take that off. I can leave it on. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. All right, boy, this is staticky. Okay, throw that out. Good. So I have a couple new parts. So one of the things I found was when I 3D printed the part, I assumed I was going to make this out of 1/4-inch stock. So I printed it as if it was going to be 1/4-inch stock. The beauty of the 3D printer, right? Well, then when I actually went to make it, when I made the first one, I found that the material I actually ordered up, or what was readily available, was hard to find, you know, a lot of selection on the tinted plexiglass. It's actually 6 millimeters, so it's a little under 1/4 inch. It's 230. So when I set it together, it was a little loose. So then I did tighten up. I think I tightened up a little too much. This one was quite tight, so I just relaxed that clearance. And what the clearance is just there's, you know, 2 little notches that this fits together. So I just needed to get that set properly. So we're going to try run right now. So I just posted them out. I have some fresh programs on my USB stick. So we're going to grab side 1, op 1 and 2. We'll put them over into my extended memory. Paste that. Yep, we'll overwrite both. And then let's grab side, or I call it S2. S2 is the secondary tree, really. Mark, copy. Paste all. All right. So S1, op 1, S2, op 2, rev 3 is my last rev. And oh, look at this. When it posted, I've seen my post do that every now and then. I have to fix that. It gave me 2 MPF extensions. The system will actually run it. It doesn't really care, but I get a little anal sometimes, and to me it just looks horrible. All right. That looks more like it. So MPF, main program file. So we'll run side 1, op 1. And take a look. Make sure our zeros still look good. All right, looks like my air nozzle got bumped a little bit, probably while I was... I do like to use air on this just because at least keeps the mess off my primary working area. All right. Whenever I come down, I always like to verify my Z-plane. You'll get it somewhat close. If I look at it, yeah, I'm about 100th out above. I know that this is roughly 5.3, so I'm approximately centered in my X, and I'm to the top edge in my Y. Everything looks good. I intentionally really ripped at this. So here we're running, right now I think it's 90 inches per minute on the helical, but I run 180 inches per minute when I'm contouring that. This is an adaptive roughing strategy. And this is leveraging our Cycle 832 functionality. So if you look at our all G code, you see I'm in a dyne rough strategy. I am using top surface for this. You can see my adaptive roughing. That's just a note on the tool. If we look at the program, we can go back and look at it. You can see my strategy here. So I did a top surface with smoothing, and I'm not doing multi-axis because I'm only running 3-axis, so I don't need that. My NX post, what it does is it pushes the tolerance, our chordal tolerance, in as a variable. So that's your cam tolerance here. So that can be written directly into the cycle. They choose to push it in as a variable, which tends to work out quite well. All right. So it looks like we're running. Air is on. Probably could use to give it a little more air or get it a little closer. Speed holder for a sec. That's more like it. I would just adjust it a little high. So I don't want to spoil the whole event. We're going to talk about the fixturing method that I used to machine this quite a bit in the event. We'll talk about the process a little more, talk about the additive. All right, well that looks pretty good. So we have camera shots. Now next step for me, a bunch of things I have to do. I have to update my title screen. That's that first image you guys see when you come on. I didn't show it today because I haven't updated it. It's still an old title screen. If you ever wonder kind of how the whole mechanism works, so I have two screens right here. One is showing me OBS Studio, and that's what we use to kind of manage the whole event. So I have a bunch of different, what we call scenes set up. So it's really just different camera angles, different visuals that we're showing. And then I can toggle between the scenes. Now I can do that with my mouse. So I can click on a different scene here, or I also set up hotkeys on my keyboard so I can toggle between different scenes. So here's an old image or an old scene from the Amugi Thriller event I did. So I got to update some of that static image, show you guys a little bit more detail about what I did. So that's really kind of my next step. I got to go through the scenes. I got to update them a little bit, make sure I like the camera angle and perspective. Sometimes I change them up a little bit depending on what I'm doing. I think in the future, what I want to set up is the ability of having some kind of a mobile camera as well. I have been playing with it a little bit. There is a couple outside third-party websites that will push into OBS, so I could stream from my phone and have that as an extra camera. Reason why I'd love to have a mobile is, I'd love to show you the printer a little bit. Well, getting over there, I'd have to have a whole other camera set up to switch there. If it was mobile, then potentially I can move a camera around. Maybe we want to get into the action shot a little bit. I could certainly do that. But yeah, progressive steps. I will apologize. We haven't done a lot of these events as of late. Life's been good, but really crazy. So we're going to try to get back on them and certainly do them much more frequently. We'd love to shoot to have an event every month. Baby steps. I always try to get there, and boy, it never seems to quite happen. But we do really enjoy engaging with you guys through these events. They're certainly, I think, well worth the time, and we want to really push more out. So we'll try to kick up the frequency. It does make life a little bit easier for us to put topics together, to sit here and record this whole thing and then now have to move it to an editing stage. Although you probably have a little bit more preparatory work in the front end of a live. Once you get the live set up and you go for it, man, you're there. You got a nice video at the end, as long as it came out to your liking. And that's the beauty with live. If it didn't, if there were problems, well, it's something interesting for the audience to watch. So with that being said, hopefully you enjoyed a little bit of a behind the scenes. I'm going to continue on setting up my different scene images and cleaning it up, and I'm hoping that you guys will make it tomorrow. Tomorrow, I believe it's 11 o'clock Eastern time for the formal making of our Christmas ornament or Christmas decoration. So with that, thanks guys, and we'll see you tomorrow.